Gold Guy YouTube channel, and I hope you're excited to see the NAT Subaru again, because in this video I'm going to be installing a set of coilovers. Thank you so much to Maxpeedingrods for sending me these coilovers. They look awesome, and I'm so excited to get these on the car. Right now the suspension is super soft. It's about time that I do a real upgrade on this car other than something with the engine. All I've really done is new wheels, new brakes, and it's time for some new suspension because this is the stock suspension that was on the car from the factory. And I can't have that on a race car, so I hope you guys enjoy the video. We got to get the car in the garage. Now, let's open these things up and see what they look like. Oh, these look awesome already. I love that gold color. Fits right in with the Gold Guy theme of my car. Now, here are the wrenches. Oh, these are big. We've got a much longer spring and then a much shorter spring. As you can see, these things have a lot of adjustment. Maybe too much adjustment, because I don't know how I'm going to get these adjusted right. But hey, we'll figure it out as we go along, like I usually do. Let's open one of these up and take a look at it. Okay, these are nice and oiled up. So far, it feels like really good construction. Obviously, we don't know for sure until we get it on the car, but it's very adjustable. We can adjust the camber here. We can adjust the dampener here. Here we've got the bottom portion, which this part actually you can lengthen or shorten the entire coil to lower or raise your car, and then you lock it down with this nut right here. Once I get it at the right height, which I have no idea what that is again, and then you can adjust the actual stiffness or softness of the spring by simply loosening this nut here or tightening it if you want to tighten your suspension. Focus on performance. Adjustable damper coilovers. They look nice. I really am excited to see how they feel on the car, but I've got a lot of work to do. So let's get to it. Here I've got everything I should need to install these coilovers on this car. Starting from the left to the right, I've got some various sockets, breaker bar, and a torque wrench. I've also got some long needle nose pliers, because you never know when those will come in handy. I've got some medium thread locker, also some anti-seize. Got a tape measure to measure the stock ride height of my car. Got some PB blaster, some brake lean in case I get any grease on the brake pads, our brake rotors. Then I've got a complete Harbor Freight tool set, a pneumatic torque wrench gun, and sockets to go with that. Then I've got the lug wrench for my car. People pay on the low end like $300 for a set of coilovers, and this set here is only $275. So honestly, I'm a little bit scared at the quality of these, but from looking at what people consider cheap coilovers, these don't fit many of those categories. Now, first of all, the welds are one thing that a lot of people point out on cheap coilovers being bad. And while these welds aren't great, I think they will definitely hold up just fine. The other thing is the bump stops on cheap coilovers are usually really short and suck. Let's take a look at the bump stops on these. Yep, I would say these are really short bump stops. They don't give the car much cushioning from bottoming out, but I don't see that as a problem. At least they have them, because a lot of the cheaper ones don't have those at all. And then we've also got the dust cover right here, which is kind of a loose fit, but at least it's there, right? Most of the cheaper ones don't have a damping adjustment at all, and these do. Let's see how many clicks we have. Okay, 24 clicks. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and set all these at 12 clicks, which is right in the middle. Honestly, guys, from looking at a lot of cheap coilovers, these look way nicer than all those. Use this opportunity to go ahead and rotate my tires. That I have to remove these two nuts. I've went ahead and scratched a line in the metal here so that I can line up the new coilover with the same camber position, because one of these bolts is kind of rocking. Now that those two bolts are loosened up, we gotta pop the hood. And the reason we've got to pop the hood is because we've got to loosen up these 3 bolts holding the strut. That wasn't very tight at all. And since that bottom bolt is still holding the strut tower in place, we can go ahead and remove these 3 nuts up top. You can see that whole thing's loose now. So let's go back to the bottom. And it seems like it's a little bit stuck in there, so I'm gonna put that nut back on and whack it with a hammer. There we go. ABS line bolt and then the brake line bolt have to be removed from the strut. And those look pretty frozen, so I'm gonna hit them with PB Blaster. Gonna need my breaker bar for these. There it is. Okay, now both hoses are disconnected, so we should be able to pull the whole strut tower out somehow. There we go. Oh, okay. There we go, just needed a little prying action. And it's out of there. Here's a comparison between the stock suspension and my new coilover. Obviously the stock suspension is quite a bit longer, so hopefully I can at least get close to stock height with these, because I really wasn't hoping to lower my car much at all. We're getting close. I don't know how much you can safely loosen this. Obviously you don't want it like all the way at the end of the threads like that. So, interesting. That's about stock height there, but I mean it's all the way at the end of the threads, so I don't know what to do. It turns out that these coilovers are actually a lowering kit, and they can lower your car from 1 to 3 inches. So basically you can't use those and maintain the stock height of your car. And I didn't know that. Maxpeedingrods really didn't advertise that on their website. Now they do. I have a solution for this issue. And the solution is in this box right here. So let's open it up. Now I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm really hoping it will, because if this doesn't work, then I can't install these coilovers on my car. There we have 3-inch lift spacers. Now these go on top of the coilover, and then this bolts onto the car, and this gives you a 3-inch lift. Obviously I can't lift my car 3 inches because that would create a lot of issues, but hopefully I can use these in junction with the adjustment on the coilover and get a 1-inch lift. The moment of truth. Will this fit with the camber plate? If this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Okay, wow. Yeah, that's no problem. There is tons of room in there to still access the camber plate, and yeah, we're gonna be just fine. Okay, I've got the stock strut out, and I'm going to bolt on the spacer. There we go, those are good and tight. So there we go, that is stock height, and the threaded part of the coilover is still about halfway. So I'd say I have a good inch to raise it still. That'll be perfect. And then we just have to put the studs into the spacer. And the studs can be tightened in using an Allen wrench. As you can see, the inside of this bottom piece is not coated with anything. It is just straight up metal. And if I have the monoshock threads only like an inch in, this is all going to be exposed. So I'd eventually like to make some kind of plug that goes in there so that it doesn't get all rusted. But for now, I'm just going to take some grease and apply it inside those threads just to keep water away from them, and hopefully that will stop the rust. So I was doing some research on these coilovers, and a lot of people say you get some weird creaking noises if you don't grease the pillow ball mount, and you can also get spring binding, which causes a similar noise if you don't grease this little washer, well, both these washers and the bottom of the top spring collar here. And if you go on Maxpeedingrods website, they have a little picture here which shows all the parts you should grease. Before I install anything, I'm definitely gonna grease the heck out of all this stuff, because I don't want to have to take it apart to do it later. I'd rather just do it now. I should also grease the bottom of where the spring sits. Pretty much anywhere that metal touches metal, you want that to be greased up. And that should be good. I'm gonna grease all these coilovers up just like I did with the first one. There we go, that's exactly an inch from the collar to the bottom of the shaft. So let's go ahead and thread that on. There we go, that's an inch. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten this collar down. There we go, nice and tight. And now let's see what the spring preload tension's like. I really don't want these springs to be stiff at all. I want to get the smoothest ride as possible. So I'm going to loosen these all the way up until they start to jiggle a little bit. There we go, that's pretty loose there. So I'm going to just preload it. Basically, not much at all. Okay. That's good. I can always adjust that later on. There we go, it's locked in. Alright, I've got both front coilovers completely the same. All the measurements are exactly identical for the spring preload and the height. Let's go ahead and get one of them on the car. So I've got the top bolts in. Now I've just got to line up this knuckle here. And you want to make sure not to pull too much on this or the CV axle will actually come apart. Ask me how I know that. And now I can go ahead and get the knuckle back in place on the coilover. And now you can see that lift happening. Got about an inch lift, so I'm going to have to drop down the whole thing. Hopefully we can do that. There we go. That was a lot harder than I thought. And then the nut can go back on. And now let's get the top bolt in. There we go. So if you turn it left, you get negative camber, right, positive camber. We don't want any camber, so I'm going to zero it out. And then I got the nut on. And now we can tighten these down. I'm gonna do the rest of the tightening by hand. There we go, that's good and tight. And then I just have to put the ABS line and brake line bolts back in place. Nice. So now I'm just going to do the same exact thing on the other side, and then we'll lower the car down and see how it looks on these new coilovers. Oh man, I'm really excited to see what it looks like. What the? Oh. Woo! Alright, here we go. This one's for real. Okay. Alright, so right off the bat, it looks like we still have too much positive camber. As you can see, we still got a little bit of tilt there. But let's see how much we actually raised it up. Holy, no. That can't be real. So the front's done. We're moving on to the back. Let's go ahead and get the knuckle unhooked here. Yeah, these bolts are not going to come easy. Oh, there we go. It's moving a little bit. That was so stiff. Oh my gosh. That put up a fight. And there's the bottom bolt. Now we just gotta loosen up the bolts up top. If you drive a sedan, then you'll have to pull the back seats out. But this is a hatchback. All I've got to do is pop that cover off in the trunk, pull this piece of foam back, and loosen up these 3 nuts. And there we go, that's the last nut. And then there's this little cover that'll come off. And now we should be able to drop the strut. There's this little clip holding the brake line onto the strut. You got to remove that. And then the brake line will be freed and the strut should come out now. There it is. Since the front ended up being a little bit taller than I thought it would be, I'm gonna just make the back coilovers the same exact height as the front. Okay, so that is roughly the same height. I'm gonna go ahead and lock this nut down. Definitely not gonna need the spacers on the back coilovers. There we go. Now we're ready to get this on the car. There we go. Top is in. Let's go ahead and get the nuts tightened down. I'm not going to put this cap back on so that I can adjust the dampener. And there we go. With the top tightened up, we can go ahead and move on to the bottom bolts. Something weird about the back I just noticed is that there's a huge gap in between the knuckle and the coilover. Hopefully that'll close up when I tighten the bolts down. And there we go. Now all we got to do is get the wheel back on. All right, all done on this side. Now I've just got to do the other side. Okay, all the coilovers are on the car and it is time to drop this baby down and see how she looks. Okay. Man, that feels stiff. Alright, let's see how much we lifted it. Holy crap. Okay, so before the coilovers, the rear passenger side was 5 3/4. Now it is 7 1/4, which means we raised this thing 2.5 inches in the back and 3 inches in the front. Holy crap. So that means I'm gonna have to take the front wheels back off and I'm gonna have to thread the bottom part of the coilover back onto the monoshock body about 2 inches to give myself the 1 inch lift. I really did not think the springs would be like that much stiffer that they would actually lift the car. Yeah, I really didn't want to lift it that much. That's probably going to put a lot of strain on the CV axles, probably change steering geometry. Otherwise I would just leave it like this because I think it's cool. But yeah, I don't think I want to lift it that much. I got one of the front wheels back off and I'm going to show you how to adjust the ride height. First, you loosen up this collar and you want to loosen this the same distance that you want to lower it. So for me, I really didn't mean to lift this thing 3 inches. I just wanted 1 inch lift. So I'm gonna loosen this up about 2 inches. And now I'm just gonna twist this all the way down until the nut hits the bottom part. And that should be right about where I want it. I'll go ahead and tighten that down. Alright, I got the coilovers dropped 2 inches, so let's drop the car and see how it looks. Much lower than it was before. Now that crazy positive camber went away, that's good. 7 1/8. Before I put the coilovers on, it was 6 1/8, so I successfully lifted my car 1 inch. Now, let's take it on a test drive and see how these things ride. It's making noises. Alright, we're pulling out of the driveway. It feels a little bit different. Don't know what it is, I think it's just stiffer. Oh yeah, it feels higher. I feel it. It feels a little bit more like an SUV. We haven't went around a turn yet. Whoa, okay. Okay. That's not bad. Damn. So far, so good. Take it easy, guys. 1, because the car is still warming up, and 2, I don't know if I trust the suspension yet. It feels okay though, so far. Oh, that was a pretty tight turn. I'm going over bumps, and let me just say, it definitely doesn't feel spongy like it did before. Before I put these things on, around turns, you can feel the body roll like crazy, and now it's kind of holding the together. Feels pretty good. I just took my hand off the steering wheel, and the alignment is like perfect. I'm not gonna need to get this thing aligned. Whew. Thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos. I had a lot of fun with this one, and I really love how the coilovers changed my car. Thanks again to Maxpeedingrods for sending me these coilovers. I actually really like them. I had my doubts. Oh, it's really windy. Yep. Yeah, let's get in the car. As I was saying, I had my doubts about the coilovers. They feel great, and also lifting my car up 1 inch makes it feel more like an SUV. I love that there's no more body roll going around turns. I can turn real fast and hard, and I won't feel the whole car shifting like it used to. My shocks were just really spongy before, and I really didn't like them, and they're not good for a fast car, which is what I'm trying to build here. So the coilovers will be much better. I still do maybe want to lift it up another inch, so you guys might see me do that in a future video, but for this one, lifting up 1 inch felt good. Doesn't scrub at the hump of my driveway anymore, which is definitely a pro. Yeah, overall, I really like them. They're not making any weird noises. They feel nice and smooth. You do feel more of the bumps with the coilovers, but I mean, that's just what you get with stiffer suspension. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you want to check out Maxpeedingrods products, click the link in the description. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to see me lift this thing up another inch, and then put the wheel spacers on in a future video. Comment down below what you think, and also like the video if you liked it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.